Welcome to Mundane Mysteries of a Muslim podcast. Drops every fortnight, the most mundane topic hitting your Muslim neighbors.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to episode 2 of our
Mundane Mysteries!
Alhamdulillah, I didn't even attempt to try it. So today we have Nishat back with us. Welcome, Nishat. And we have a new person called Nuha. Welcome, Nuha.
Thank you.
So Nuha is actually born in London, raised in Yorkshire, and currently lives and works in Lancashire. So mashallah, she's quite a well-rounded person and has travelled quite a lot, clearly. So we'll jump right into it. So the first topic of today's podcast is the Olympics. So I'm sure you guys have seen there's been a lot of hoo-ha around the Algerian boxer, and the Western media has, how can I put it delicately? Well, basically they've been bullying her in terms of her gender. So they're accusing her of not being female, and they said that it's unfair because she has high levels of testosterone, XYZ. So I want to get your thoughts. Is this information justified being 24/7 on the news cycle? And are they justified in their outrage? Or is it the fact that as Asians or as ethnic people, we have high levels of testosterone as women? Thoughts?
Okay, so first of all, I don't think we do have high level of testosterone because we're ethnic, we're Asians. I think there's no proven studies to say that. And secondly, I don't get what the buzz is. If she's biologically a woman,
Yeah.
you know, this is no like, oh, she feels like a woman, or maybe she feels like a man. If she's biologically a woman, and when you're in a competition like Olympics, is about survival of the fittest, and it's all about seeing who's the strongest. She's a biological woman. She happens to be the strongest woman, knocked out another weaker woman.
Well, it's competition.
It's a competition at the end of the day. So if someone's good at it, what, are you going to penalize them, and you're going to try to figure out why are they good at it? Oh, maybe they have a little bit more high test, like hormones more than this person. So no, this is ridiculous. If she's a woman, she beat another woman fair and square, and that's it. Who cares about her levels of testosterone? I can't even say the word.
I think
That's another word that I cannot say. If she has a lot of more male hormones than the rest, who cares?
But there must have been some discussion pre-match regarding some kind of issues.
Yeah, so I'll give you a bit of a background behind it. So I think according to some World Federation of Boxing or something, um, they said that she couldn't participate in that boxing match. I can't remember the name of it. Apologies. I'll figure it out. I'll put it on the link afterwards. So they said because of the high levels of testosterone or whatever it was, she wasn't entitled to participate in the sport. But according to the Olympic standard, she was able to participate. So initially, when the Western media, meaning here in the UK and even in America, when they covered this, I assumed that she was a transitioning woman. And I was like, well, obviously, if she's a transitioned man into a woman, then clearly it's not fair. It's not fair. Biologically not fair. Competitively, it's not fair either. But what transpired afterwards was that she said herself, no, she's born a woman. It's on her birth certificate, all her documents and everything. She participates and she is a woman. So she's had sporting matches with other women where she's lost. So it's not the fact that she's this high driven man that's become a woman and she's just knocking everyone out and winning games.
Yeah.
She genuinely considers herself and is a woman, which is the key point. She's not transitioned. She's just got high levels of whatever hormones she has. Again, I don't know what hormones it is, but she's got that high levels of hormones. So obviously, Nuha, you come from an NHS background. So is that something that's possible, like for women, especially from Muslim women or Asian women or ethnic Middle Eastern women? I mean, do we naturally have more testosterone, or is it just the fact that she was born with a bit more hormones?
As Asian women having more, I don't think that's.
I'm just asking the question.
No, I don't think that's generally. Maybe some women have more, and
so not as a community we don't have more. It's just
I don't know if there's any research being done about it, but
there's no.
I don't know where has this come from.
No, I'm just asking the question.
No, and is that what people are questioning? Like, is that what people are asking?
Well, no. Well, from my understanding of what the media is saying is that she's, it's unfair because she's got high levels of testosterone.
Well,
So,
that's
like
not.
I said initially, I assumed because of the way the news cycle was saying things, was that she was a previously a male and became a female. But clearly, that's not the case. And she's actually come out and
Just
she's
lies.
no.
Fake
Well, to
news.
be fair to her, she's come out and she said, "Can you stop bullying me?" So I think it goes
Yeah.
a bit more deeper than that. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on what you think, and
I mean, there's so many women with high, that, I don't know what you call them.
testosterone.
They say beta marca. I don't know if you've heard of that
No,
saying.
I've not heard of that.
So
I've heard of it.
yeah, but there's so many women, and there's so many women like hormone, and as you age, your hormones change, and that's should, and depending on what you even the exercises or whatever you do can increase your.
The thing is, one thing I just don't get, I don't even know why this is even a topic, because there are criteria to go to the Olympics. She's met those criteria for the competition.
Yeah.
She went in, beat someone up, beat someone fair and square.
Competitively.
Competitively. Beat someone fair and square, because it's boxing. She's beat someone fair and square competitively. So what's the issue? She's met the criteria to be there. She deserves to be there. She doesn't need to justify herself.
I don't even know what the issue was, because even if they had to create this gender issue saying that she's a man fighting a woman and all this, but isn't this something that the Western society kind of promotes anyway? So now that it's almost like there's something that they promote, and they're doing all the gender, same mix sex toilets, and we can buy they're doing all this kind of stuff. At the same time, when this came out, I was confused, because I thought this is something that they promote. All of a sudden, this is something that
where they're against it.
Where they're against it. And then it begs the question: is it because she's is it because they're trying
she's a
Muslim, and then ethnic, or what is the?
Because the woke brigade should be onto that, promoting her,
exactly,
supporting her, saying, you know what, let her be a man. At least she's winning. Where is the woke brigade now? Where is all that LGBTQI XX community? Where are they?
Well, I'll move on slightly. Obviously, still on the theme of the Olympics again, and I think as Muslim, and specifically Muslim women, I feel like we've been targeted a lot more in this Olympics. So I'm not sure again if you guys are aware. There was a French Muslim lady. I think she was black. She was stopped from participating because she was a hijab.
Oh, yeah,
so, and in previous Olympics, again, not necessarily Muslim, but ethnic. So one, I think they found something in her system. She was banned. Someone else, again, had high levels of a certain hormone or whatever it was, and she was banned from participating in the Olympics. Yet, again, I think there's a volleyball player or an Olympian. I think he's European, Dutch or something, and he was arrested. I'll put in a disclaimer: viewer discretion, please. He was done on rape of a 12-year-old child, but he's allowed to participate and take part in the Olympics, and there's nothing in the news cycle. So my question to you both, Nuha and Nishad, is there, for example, more emphasis on ethnic or Muslim or black minority ethnic groups when they do something wrong or mistakenly if there's issues? And is there white privilege, basically?
100%. 100%. There is no question about it. Of course, there's white privilege. In terms of with the media, everyone, if you're white, you get the grace. You get lower sentences. Nothing. Your actions are not seen as severe as someone their counterparts. Even if we do a little something mistake, anyone ethnic minority, little thing, the media will blow it up, because it is feeding into the narrative of ethnics, being bad, Muslims bad, is feeding into the Islamophobia, the racist, the fascist agenda, Europe. I'm going to say Europe, the Western world is promoting at the moment. Well, they have been promoting it, for centuries, but I think now is so much more overt than ever.
And do you think, Nuha, it's because of social media? Is that having a more profound impact because everyone's got access to information really quickly, and there's no sort of verification, or because you have instant access to things? Is that having an impact in terms of the way we're thinking and the way we perceive certain issues?
It's always been the case, anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think it's just social media. It is social media because this is where we go for in our day, time and age.
Yeah.
This is what we go for our information. So it is social media. But back in the days, whatever it was, newspaper, that's what it was.
Yeah,
so
that was our only source of
was only
information, wasn't
yeah,
it? Yeah.
So whatever sources they can use, they will use that to.
Or
Yeah,
I've got a question for you, Ruji. Do you think that we are more like before? We were more gullible because our only source of the news was the newspaper, so we believed it more. And now we are not taking everything they say on face value, and we are questioning it because of social media.
I don't think we were more gullible, but obviously we weren't privy to the news cycle 24/7. So again, like Nuha said, growing up in the 80s, 90s, early 2000, um, obviously we started off with like 3, 4 channels. Then Sky Dish came along. Um, R.I.P. Rishi Sunak, who didn't have Sky Dish. He missed out. Honestly, I understand his pain.
His Eton privileges didn't allow that, did it?
Yeah, I'm sure he wasn't peeping through anyone's window. But yeah, so obviously with the advent of Sky satellite dishes, you had access to like now maybe 40, 50 channels.
Yeah.
And then Sky News Channel was the first sort of news channel that was around 24/7. So it's constant news. So um, I think it depends on your upbringing. It depends on your environment. But I think having the news cycle 24/7 on isn't healthy for yourself
it's not.
either. So just having a throwback to the 2020 when we were all in lockdown. Thank you to Boris Johnson. He called it really late, but we were literally watching the news 24/7.
Yeah.
People started getting mental health issues.
Yeah.
People started getting, I don't know what you call it, like claustrophobia, because the only source of information that they could get was these channels, and it wasn't anything positive. It was like, oh, this many cases of COVID, this many people have died, this is happening, X, Y happening,
fear mongering,
and he's coming out every single day at this time, and then we're clapping for the NHS, which isn't a problem, but these things are just like on repeat and repeat and repeat, and it's just getting you really bogged down with it. So I remember at some points where I'd be texting friends on WhatsApp and things, and I'd be like, you need to stop sending messages about this person that person died, because it's really depressing.
Yeah.
So for me, that was a kind of wake up call that my friend texted me saying, obviously it's really sad, but we don't need to constantly be aware because, for example, there might be mothers on there that are expecting, and if you're saying that this person died and the baby's still alive, it's really
it's
hard
very
hit for
triggering.
them. Yeah. So moving on from obviously the Olympics and the news cycle, obviously in terms of the next segment, we talk about headline issues. So again, it ties in with the news cycle that we've been talking about. So I want to get both your thoughts about the issues around the riots. Okay, I'm not going to call them anti-racist or not anti-racist, anti-immigration protests.
No,
They are
what
riots. They are riots, and
by
I
white
would call
terrorists.
I will call them riots. Okay. So my question is are these quote unquote anti-immigration / riot protests justified?
Nuha, go on. I want to hear. I really want to hear your 2 cents.
I'm going to leave it to you. Justify.
Let's ask the traveler here.
No. Go on, Nisha. Go on.
So you said no. Okay, fair enough. Nishat?
Justified for what? Like
what they? Yeah.
Well, obviously, I'm going to play devil's advocate. So some of the sort of like not I wouldn't say issues, but the hurt of the white community is the fact that there's cost of living crisis, there's asylum and refugee immigrants coming in, illegal immigrants coming in by boats. I don't know how many thousands have come in this year, and
they're not taking their jobs though.
No, I understand that. No,
Yeah.
I understand that. I'll come on to that. But what I'm saying is the level of asylum seekers, refugees, illegal coming on boats from Calais and the coastline of France.
Okay.
Is that a justifiable reason for why British people are concerned and upset?
Do you know what? I think it goes back to that social media thing. If you look at like the statistics of the refugees and asylum seekers in this country and people on benefits, and it's something like I read 0.18 or something like that percentage
So if we translate that percentage into numbers, what is the number?
I have no idea.
But no,
Right.
when you translate it into number, it sounds it's
Yeah.
so much. But when you translate it into a percentage, it is really, really small. And one thing these people need to realize, those people have not driven inflation. Those people have not driven the cost of living. Why aren't you having an anti-government protest? It is your lawmakers, it is your politicians that are making money out of it. They could reduce the tax, but they're not. They could increase the tax of the rich. They're not. How much is the corporation tax? They could increase the corporation taxes instead of the income taxes or the national insurance.
Yeah.
They're not doing that. So the rich are getting richer. The middle class, they're wiping them out, and they're turning them into working class now. They're trying to breed them into poverty, and the poor are just homeless now.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. Yeah, who are they fighting? And they're talking about that's something. They're talking about Asians taking over jobs, or if you look at the NHS, even we've had overseas nurses come over, and actually they were our savior because we had no staff there, we had no qualifieds going in, so we had influx of like 30 Indian nurses and from Zimbabwe, and so these people came and saved your lives.
Yeah.
What are you complaining about? What is the real issue really? What is it? I can understand maybe if they were saying, because there's mosques in our communities and this and that, and for them it's a takeover of culture maybe. But even then, what are they fighting?
I don't know why they're fighting the takeover of the culture. What's the national dish of a UK? Chicken tikka masala. They're happy. They're happy with chicken tikka masala and the kebab.
Then what is the real issue?
Let's go back a little.
The outrage is
the protest kicked off. What really sparked it was obviously those three, beautiful kids that got stabbed in the school. They were on a half-term activity, and that lad went in and murdered them and attacked other kids, and I think he attacked one of the shooters or staff member there as well. So I think all communities will condemn that. All communities,
everyone
will
has
feel
pain.
shocked and feel pain, and I think one of the child was the child of an immigrant. So it's not the fact that it's just British-born kids or white kids. There was an immigrant child there, from what I remember in the news media. Again, I'll check that. I'll fact check that, and I'll put it on the link. So obviously, clearly that sparked it. But prior to that, the likes of certain, I wouldn't say influencers, but spokespeople of certain parties were, again, in their own news media platforms, were saying this child was a Muslim. He's Muslim by nature, and his family is from Rwanda or whatever it was. And because he was Muslim, because he was ethnic, that's what sparked the riots. And obviously, in Southport, kicked off the fighting, and they smashed in the windows, they smashed in all the cars. Then it transpired, and the police released the information, and I think the judge released the name of the child because he felt it was really important.
Because it's not an ethnic name.
They found out actually he's called Axel, whatever it was, and he's actually Christian, born and bred here in the UK, from Cardiff, I believe, and his parents were Christian, immigrants from Rwanda. But my point is does it really matter what the ethnicity?
No, it doesn't.
Culture, background, religion is. A murder is a murder.
Right? So if he was white, are we gonna go storming the white neighborhoods? Are we going to do that? No, we're not. So it's just one person's actions. What is this, collective outrage? And it is a misdirected outrage, whatever it is. And you can tell the country is in a bad place.
Yeah.
The country is actually in a really bad place at the moment. Economically, financially, we are just really, really bad place. Yeah. But that outrage, people are using it against Muslims, and they're using it against ethnics, and where it's
why do they have this anger? Why has it bubbled up now?
Because deep rooted, actually, it's always been there.
Has it always been there?
UK's a racist country.
It's been there. I think they just need a reason to blow.
They need a reason to blow, and someone's giving them exactly wrong reason. I think people don't understand. People don't say it, but UK is a very racist country. We live in a racist Islamophobic country, and I think UK needs to own it.
Okay. So my next sort of question, or your thoughts on this matter then, is how much responsibility should politicians or people of influence who are on platforms, especially big platforms, how much responsibility should they take for things that have transpired, such as the riots? So I'll give an example. Tommy Robinson, who kickstarted one of the riots, Nigel Farage, who again asked questions: Is he Muslim? Is he this? Is he that? And he's been on, a number of media um, saying that, well, he was just asking the questions, and he's not the cause of the riots. Is that justifiable, given the fact that now he's an MP? Is one thing when you're not an MP, but given the fact that he's an MP now, should he be held to a more higher standard, or should he just carry on as he is without any responsibility?
People need to take accountability for their words and their actions, because if he's, and it does start from the top down. You can't expect people to, better themselves from the bottom up. People of influence need to own up to their actions and need to go on record and say, this is what's happening at the moment and it needs to be stopped. And they need to address it as what it is. They need to, it's a very, severe thing that's happening in this country, and I think it needs to be addressed in that way. They need to stop sugarcoating it and making light of the situation. It's not a light situation where we don't feel safe. Me as a Muslim woman, I don't feel safe walking out. I'm scared.
Do you mean just generally, or in the lead up to all this writing?
Within this environment right now, I'm scared. If I see a white man, I get scared, thinking, is he going to pull my scarf? Is he going to come and punch me?
I don't think it's just a recent thing. I've always felt it. Anyway, I've had somebody on the bus early in the morning trying to pull. Not today. I'm sitting in the past trying to pull my hijab off. So this is from growing up from. We're talking young to now. I don't feel any different. This is nothing new for me.
Sure.
It's just more that you kind of forget about it, and then something happens again, and you become a bit more aware of it, and then again you're like, you start having, start having, going through all that precautionary, kind of thing.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen on Good Morning Britain, I think it was Zara Sultana. She was in an interview and she was calling out the fact that the government hadn't called it what it was, Islamophobia. And obviously some of the presenters, they took it a bit to heart. I'll put it lightly. So go check out the clip. I thought it was atrocious the way the news anchors were treating her, the way they wouldn't let her respond.
One, isn't it?
Because more like 4 versus 1.
Because they don't want to believe that they're racist. They don't want to believe that they're Islamophobic. They get offended. They say, no, I'm not a racist person. I don't see colour. Yes, you do. Nobody's colourblind.
So my question to you is now then is, do you think our government, obviously we only had the new government for a month, is our Prime Minister and our new government, have they been slow? Have they actually called out what it is? Obviously they've said this.
What have they done?
They said it's
I'm sorry, what have they done?
Have they called out for what it is, Islamophobia?
What have they done? I don't feel as though they have done anything.
What have they done?
Think, obviously, I don't know. I'm not in the know.
Exactly,
I'm not in government.
They've done nothing.
From what I've seen, again, on the news, on the mainstream news, they've been working closely with the police force. And again, in the previous episode, we talked about the police force. But to give credit where credit due, I think they've done a stunning job this last couple of weeks. They've done fantastically. The only criticism I would have personally is the fact that, again, maybe I need to verify it, but from what I've seen is they've downgraded some of the people that have been writing. So for writing, apparently you can get up to 10 years in jail, but for violent disorder, you can get up to 5 years in jail. So some members that have been writing, looting, thrashing, fire setting, XYZ, they've been only given a lower sentence because they've been under the violent.
Is it because they're white? Is it because their writers are white?
I don't know. We'll have to ask the police force for that information.
That's what it feels like.
In terms of police protection, obviously, yesterday was Wednesday, the 7th of August. There's meant to be hundreds of planned, again, quote unquote, anti-immigration protests in the area where I live. Alhamdulillah, in the area that I live, there was nothing big that happened. There was young Muslim lads, older men that came around, Alhamdulillah, there was even Stop the War and anti-fascist campaigners that came out and supported, and it was beautiful because I got some pictures that after Asr they gathered together. Then by Maghrib time, nothing had happened. Alhamdulillah. Then they all went to the mosque. So out of these dark situations comes beautiful situations as well. So in the areas that you guys live, have you guys faced any issues, or have they been similar to what I've had in my community?
Not as you know how messages have been sent.
Yeah.
I've not seen anything like that. But we have had water sprays into the car, and one of my family members, but I don't know what that was. We've had people shouting into the window as you're driving past, and so yeah, that's not normal. We've seen that.
Of course, yeah.
that sort of increase, not as a whole.
Just on that
that's
occasion.
been, yeah.
Right. What about you, Nishat?
So I haven't personally faced anything, but I know of bad things that have happened. But I think, in terms of this episode, I think we've spoken about a lot of deep things now, and a lot of serious situations, and I feel as though our emotions have gone up a little in terms of everything, because these things are close to us, and we feel a lot of feelings towards it, and there's a lot of anger as well, and I feel as though that has come up. So I think right now what we can do, talk about something lighthearted for the last 5 minutes of the situation. Unless, Nuha, you wanted to say something.
I just wanted to end it with, I think a lot of people are losing trust in police officers, even to do with what's happened in the airport with the Muslim family. People are losing trust, therefore then they're losing hope in how changes will be made and all that kind of stuff. But we know as Muslims as well, Shaitan loves a believer with low morale. Like the more depressing a situation gets, the more hyped he is.
He's getting so happy right now.
Because
he is enjoying it.
Looking around, like everyone you speak to, everyone's like scared. Everyone's got
fear in their
heart, and so Shaitan is loving this, and we need to end it with a light note, bro.
We can't let Shaitan win, man.
I'm just going to comment on that point. I know we've got to wrap up in a few minutes, but in terms of what you said was on point, Nuha. When we're alone, Shaitan loves it when we're alone, because then we feel hopeless and hapless and everything like that. But then when we're together, and this was my point about yesterday in my community, the fact that these young lads, and when I say young lads, like 18, 19-year-olds, then you have the slightly older one, my generation, then you have the older ones where they're in the 50s and 60s, and they all banded together and they all respectfully did the anti-racism protest. And like I said, there was anti-fascist protesters as well, and it was a really communal feeling. And the fact that they went to the masajid afterwards, I think alhamdulillah, it's that brotherhood, it's that unity, it's the sisterhood, it's that one ummah where you feel pain, I feel pain. And I think Noha, you said it rightly, we shouldn't feel hopeless, and we can take a lot of lessons from what's going on. Yes, take your precautions, but we need to take it back one step. We need to go back to our namaz, we need to do our adkars, and we need to check in on one another. And one another doesn't just mean our Muslim neighbours, it means our non-Muslim neighbours as well. So,
and to be fair, I've noticed our neighbours and non-Asian neighbours extra. If I feel like it's like when we went through that terrorism thing going on with the Muslims, so it's always like extra trying to, we're not on that side, and there has been, and I feel sad that people have to go extra to show that they're not part of it.
Isn't that showing then the best of the British? The fact that decent folks are out there sending messages to the masajids, sending messages to their neighbours saying, are you okay? And coming over, checking in on people. That's what being British is all about, is it not? So again, I'm just conscious we've got a few more minutes. So is there any last words that you guys want to end on? I'll start with you, Nuha.
Me? Well, I don't like sadness. I don't like anything negative.
Let's leave on a positive.
This is what we're saying.
Of course, leave on a positive, alhamdulillah.
We just, like you said, we just fix the cracks on our walls, and inshallah everything
I thought you said craps.
Cracks, man. We concentrate on ourselves, inshallah, and then obviously, if we just follow what the Prophet said, look after your neighbours, look after your peeps, look after your family, we're sorted then, we're in a happy mood. So, Yeah, we'll just end it on that happy.
Yeah. So I got a call from a friend today saying like, "What are you doing? Like get more productive. You need to do something. You need to get into a routine." And she really, really pumped me up. I think because I've been feeling so less productive, and this whole thing, like this, the shaitan has been getting to me about all of these things, and that whole negativeness is being all over me. But my friend called me and she's like, "Sort your act. Get it together." And you know what? I'm like, yeah, I will. So inshallah. And this is one of the acts, like coming here as well. At one point, I didn't want to come. So it's like, and it's just like, yeah, I do need to come.
But you don't want to meet with the both of us.
I know. What's
How
going
dare
on,
you?
man?
Seen you guys way too much this week.
What's going on?
But no, it's one of those things, having to motivate yourself again and really energize yourself. And I feel more energized right now. So that's a happy note.
Sorry, before we end, can I just have 5 more minutes of your time? If that's okay with everyone.
Yeah,
Is that
go
okay?
on.
So it's going back to quite something serious, if that's okay, and then we'll switch back to something lighter maybe. It just crossed my mind. Maybe I should have brought it up earlier. But obviously, we've seen in terms of the situation overseas. So obviously, we know people. Some of us maybe from that background. What's going on in Bangladesh? They've overthrown the prime minister. So for those who don't know what's been going on, the government in Bangladesh they allocate a certain quota of jobs to veterans who fought in the 1971 war against Pakistan. So students protested against it peacefully, I might add, initially against the injustice of that. And then things escalated. The police got involved. After the police get involved, unfortunately and sadly, students started dying because police force shot at the students. And because of that, again, things escalated further. Members of the community, started protesting as well. Alongside that, there was media blackout not once but several times. Um, I had a conversation with someone of that background, and what they said to me was actually quite shocking. I had a conversation with him about 2 days ago after the Prime Minister actually resigned, and he actually said to me that it's not just the shooting of the students. He actually knows that there'll be mass graves that are being discovered, and they have actually found mass graves of people. So it's actually a lot more than what we've anticipated. So I know, guys, it's a really harrowing topic, but what can we expect for the future of Bangladesh, and what can we, what are as British Bangladeshis in our communities, what can they do to not feel hopeless in the situation that's going on at the moment?
I think so. The temporary prime minister now is Dr. Yunus. So Dr. Yunus is a Nobel Prize winner. And I've been a big fan of him for good 10 years now.
Sure.
I think the first time I read about him in The Economist. And, he is for the people, and he's more about technology. He's more about, moving the country forward. He's been trying to get into politics for years now. And he hasn't been able to because of the big prominent parties. They won't allow him. So he's the prime minister for 3 months, temporary. You never know, he may do some work good within these 3 months, and maybe he'll become the next prime minister of Bangladesh. Maybe he'll move the country forward. He's all about taking the country forward. He's all about new technology. He's all about new ideas. And he is the owner. So I'm sure loads of people back in the days had Grameen Satnav. He's the owner of Grameen.
Really?
I knew
I always thought it was a Bangladeshi kind of name, Grameen.
So it all comes from
Grameen. Grameen Bank?
Yeah, he's the owner of Grameen Bank, and he's the owner of Grameen Technology.
Oh, right.
So he's the one that he's the one that brought microfinancing to the poor people. So he was a professor at university, and then he was like, okay, as a project with his students, what they did is they went to little villages and they started doing microfinancing to like women who like does weaving baskets and stuff, because even to weave baskets, you need some money. And these people have zero money. So you can't go get a loan from a bank with zero collateral and stuff. So he started this microfinance to help the poor, the farmers, people who have, like the flower, person who sells flowers, or a widow that wants to do farm her own land and things like that. So yeah, that's why he won the Nobel Prize.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that. Yeah.
So he's a pretty impressive man.
So you think personally that he's the right person at the moment?
I really like him. I admired him for years. So I think, maybe. We don't know. Power corrupts people, man. That's the thing.
My second question was going to be, do you think the various factions and groups and parties will get behind him to support him? Or do you think
the students are behind him? Students have wanted him for years. I
understand that, but do you think he has the capabilities to take Bangladesh to the next stage in their development?
You know, a lot of people don't know this. Hasina has developed Bangladesh a lot in the last 15 years. Even though there has been a lot of corruption.
Heard of the Podda Bridge.
The bridges.
Podma Bridge.
Yeah. So in terms of the metro link and things like that, there has been a lot of developments within it. And I think maybe the next person needs to come in and take it a little bit more forward. There will be corruption. There's corruption here. There's corruption in the free world. There's corruption everywhere. If we're in politics, there's corruption. But at least the corruption needs to benefit some people. You know, the thing is, I'm sorry, but I'm with the idea that it needs to benefit some, like, majority than minority. Sorry about that.
Right, I'll just put again, it's her personal opinion.
It's my personal opinion.
Well, I do believe that we need capable people with morals and genuineness in there, and people with deen in there as well. And someone actually shared a video clip, mashallah, who I think with the new government or something, or with the new department in Bangladesh, and they started off with the Quran, which hadn't been done apparently over the last 10-15 years. So inshallah, I hope that's that's the start of something new, and I hope that for the people of Bangladesh and the Bangladeshi community, that Allah blesses them in their endeavors, and corruption is stopped and justice prevails, and mercy is put in that country, because like a lot of third world countries, there's a lot of strife, there's a lot of poverty, and we know what poverty does. It corrupts people, unfortunately,
it does,
and it becomes the norm. So may Allah, grant our ummah success in this life and the hereafter, inshallah.
Ameen.
And I think I'll just end it there. If there's any last points, Nuha. Thank you. And Nishat, is there any last?
No, I'm sorry about the corruption comment. I don't mean it like that. But
I understand what you meant, but just for our listeners, yes, thank you for clarifying that. And okay, we'll end that before we drag it on. Jazakallah khair for listening, guys. And inshallah, we've got a special edition next week. We'll release that next Wednesday, Thursday, so keep an eye out for that. We've got something new and exciting coming up. But yeah, Jazakallah khair for listening, and inshallah we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Okay. Well, assalamualaikum back, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Mundane Mysteries of a Muslim. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye.